recording. Let me get the sounders up here. All right, we'll get started in 3, 2, 1. And welcome back to another edition of the Change My Mind podcast.
I won't change my mind because I don't have to, because I'm an American.
Yes, you are, and I'm Wesley Sykes, and through the other side of the ether is the Anya Corazon to my Julia Cornwall. It's Mr. Nicholas J. Esquire. Should I say Mrs. Nicholas J. Esquire, Spider-Woman for hire.
Wow. This is everybody, this is going to be an experience, and I will guarantee that this episode will be more entertaining than the movie that we're actually talking about.
Oh, we can only hope as much here. And if you haven't already guessed, this week we are reviewing the latest entry into the much anticipated Sony Spider-verse. Very popular. Madam Web, starring Dakota Johnson and Sydney Sweeney, Nick. But before that, before we get into the current Spider-Verse movie, what's the next Spider-Verse movie you would like to see made, if any?
This is actually the easiest question I think you've ever asked me of all the intro questions, of all the prior 257 intro questions you have asked me on this program. This next Spider-Verse movie that I want to see made is the one that gets them out of the Spider-Verse and into the MCU.
Interesting here. So now let me ask you, do you think... Excuse me as I burp here.
That was not a sounder, everybody.
No, that's coming deep from the gut there.
Proud of you.
Does Deadpool and Wolverine kill the Sony Spider-Verse?
Oh God! Don't get my hopes up. That would be who did that? Oh jeez. Yeah, but that would be amazing if they did that. But I don't think so. No, I think they're just taking down Fox. Sony is what it is. I mean, Sony just got this deal with Disney, right, for some movie-related thing. I don't know what it was. I don't really care. But no, it's going to take a long time still for this to happen, I think.
Yeah, we'll see. I guess if I were to play along, I would tend to agree with you. But to play along for the question's sake, maybe a Sinister Six movie.
Yeah.
You got a couple of them already. You got a Venom, you got Morbius. You can bring back the Scorpion. You got the Vulture. Yeah, potentially, sure.
I'll tell you what. If they make Kraven, I'm going to give a legitimate chance. But if there's anything else that gets made out, because that's like pretty much already made. But if there's anything else that gets put into production and actually made after Madam Web just bombed in the manner in which it did, I'm going to take the approach that you took to this movie, not to get ahead of what we're talking about, but I'm wondering if that will make me feel better about the experience at least.
Is there another fringe villain that you would like to see made? I guess Madam Web isn't really a villain, but a fringe character.
No, not at all. I'm sorry. Like I can't.
No Black Cat.
Black Cat would make a ton of sense. Black Cat would be great. I would be interested in her entry into the MCU, not into this shit. Because Wes, they're all just, it's so bad. Like they have no clue what they're doing. It's not just that they're like, first of all, we're getting Morbius, which like Morbius looks so much better compared to this. I mean, it's insane. But then you give
what's his name, Jared Leto, credit. I think he put on a good performance for that. Yeah,
my apologize. Yeah. But then the Venom stuff that we've gotten has been like so. I mean, I haven't hated it. I know you didn't like the second one at all, but I mean, those were clearly better than these two movies. But Venom is like, okay, that's the obvious thing. You make Venom. Nobody in their right mind would ever ask for a Morbius movie. Not a movie where Morbius is the main villain. A Morbius movie. Then Madam Web, that's next level ridiculousness. Like it's a whole nother step. So Kraven makes an inkling of sense, but still I find that very bizarre. Again, not him being the lead villain, him being the main character in this is banana land to me. So they have no clue what they have at their fingertips. So that's why I genuinely can't say like I'd like to see them do something else. Like I'd love to see Kraven in the MCU. Heck, I'd be open to seeing Morbius in the MCU and Madam Web. I'd have no qualms. Like I wouldn't expect them to be center stage. And then same goes for Black Cat. But I would love to see them. But it's only in the MCU, not Sony. Sony has no clue outside of the Spider-Verse.
If they were to recast Sydney Sweeney from her Julia Cornwall role and to cast her as Black Cat, I would be very much into that.
I have no faith in her after this movie, but that's just me.
I have a ton of faith in the upcoming comic book minute, which is right now.
Thank you.
Ah, a superb choice.
By the way, I would like to see Scorpion in the mix too. But
Okay.
the comic book minute. Wolverine issue 44 is out this week. This is continuing the Sabretooth War, which has been next level stuff. I know, like, I was talking to somebody the other day, I think it was in an interview for TLDR, and they talked about how, like, with Wolverine, he always has the claws out, but he never really gets to use them. And even in comics over the years, it's very tame. There have been exceptions. This is the greatest exception in terms of, like, violence in a Marvel series. So if you haven't been reading any of the Wolverine stuff by Ben Percy, that's okay. You just have to have a general idea of what's going on with Krakoa to get in on this, and you'll be able to enjoy it still. It's been wild. We got the Resurrection of Magneto issue 2. And then, speaking of Spider people, Spider-Punk Arms Race issue 1. You want to talk about something that Sony could absolutely butcher? I know they knocked it out of the park with Spider-Punk in the Across the Spider-Verse, but if they did live action, I have to imagine that would be even worse than Madam Web.
Maybe that's a spin-off character we get now.
Oh, goodness. From Image, we got Radiant Black issue 28. And for those who don't know, Radiant Black is in the middle of its own event in which we're getting 2 issues of Radiant Black per week. One, and it's on diverging timelines where we have Marshall and Nathan, the 2 guys who have been Radiant Black. We're seeing timelines where they stray off into one taking over the mantle. So that's been an interesting kind of experience so far. We got World Tree issue 8, Duke issue 3, which is more G.I. Joe stuff, Monstrous issue 49, which is this big title over at Image that it was on a little bit of a hiatus and is making its return. And then we have Newburn issue 15, which is the penultimate issue of this series. And that is can't miss stuff. Not a book we'll talk about on TLDR because Joe and I have been reading it since day one. But basically, that is a series where you have the organized crime in New York City. I don't know if it's New York or just supposed to be a giant fictional city. I can't remember. Either way, you have the organized crime. They are all held in check because they have hired this one person to be their investigator across all of them. So it kind of, prevents like gang on gang violence and everything. So it's been a can't miss series, and it's coming to an end, I think, with issue 16, which is disappointing, but at the same time, like, it's been so good, and I don't blame I understand it's coming to an end. As for TLDR this week, we have a Sync interview coming out, which for those who don't know, that is Joe and I's favorite horror comic of all time. We've interviewed the writer a few times. We also interviewed the artist this go around. So that was a very fun conversation, some great insight there. And we'll be doing the March solicit this week over on TLDR as well.
Everything but the kitchen sink, right? That's what I always say.
Look at you. Yes.
That's what I always say there. All right, let's dive into the shit show, this toilet bowl of a movie here, Madam Web. Nick, are you ready?
I guess so.
Tommy, are you ready?
All right, now let's go get him.
All right, he's a little too enthused for my liking here. The Madam Web exit survey. Nick, what is the synopsis, please?
Cassandra Webb is a New York metropolis paramedic who begins to demonstrate signs of clairvoyance. Forced to challenge irrelevant revelations about her past, she needs to safeguard 3 young women from a deadly adversary who wants them destroyed.
Yes, this is directed by S.J. Clarkson, starring Dakota Johnson as Cassandra Webb, Sydney Sweeney as Julia Cornwall, Isabella Merced as Anya Corazon, Celeste O'Connor as Maddie Franklin, Tahar Rahim as Ezekiel Sims, Mike Epps as O'Neill, Emma Roberts as Mary Parker, Adam Scott as Ben Parker, Carrie Bichet as Constance, Zosiah Marnet as Amaria, and Jose Maria Yazpic as Santiago, and Kathy Ann Hart as Susan. Who could forget Susan?
Susan, of course. Yeah. Let's see. As for the critics' reception, actually in the box office too. So as of our conversation, it's hauled in 53.5 million worldwide, 27.7 million domestic. We contributed to that, which is it's honestly a higher number than I would have anticipated.
Just burn the money. You're probably better off.
15.3 million opening weekend. We did not contribute to that. That also got a super long runway coming out on Valentine's Day, the number one Valentine's Day movie of all time, of course. 3.8 out of 10 on IMDb. And then this is possibly the most shocking number of them all. A 13.56 split on Rotten Tomatoes,
That's a pretty big
2.6
split.
out of 5 on Google reviews, and 37% of Google users like this movie. We have a similar split, but I'm blown away at the like. You have a specific reason for your grading, and I'm very curious, like your thoughts on the 56 though out of the Rotten Tomatoes audience.
Yeah, because what 60 is the threshold for fresh? I think
Oh
it's
my god, you're right. Yeah. Oh my god.
I think so. Yeah,
I think
it's
you're
pretty
right.
close. So, you know, listen, I have a very similar score, actually a higher score than the audience score, but I think our rankings are a little bit different on the tomato meter, if you will, than Rotten Tomatoes is. But yeah, very interesting nonetheless here. Okay, what is your score and tweet length review?
So I gave this a 30 out of 100. So pretty much smack dab in the middle of those
Mhm,
scores. Although
mhm.
I don't blame the 13%. I didn't know where to put this because I knew it was terrible, and I was like, just how far down can I go on this? We all wondered, why did this get made? And my feelings have not changed whatsoever.
Yeah, that's pretty to the point. It's succinct there. I like it. I give it a 57 out of 100. I think if taken as a spoof or parody of an dramatization of the superhero movies, I think this maybe kind of works. But in any other way, this movie is a complete flop. It feels like the movie gave up on itself halfway through and just tried to get to the finish line. It lacked inspiration, energy from a lot of the main characters there. But the 57 is my thought. We were talking about this before we started the show here. It's like we don't really record or grade anything in the 60s. Rarely anything.
Yeah.
And 70s are pretty low. Like we give a 70, like we're not too crazy about it. But like anything under 60 and below is like all just failing anyway. So I think it's just how much did you really hate it? But my thought process was like, well, I really hated She-Hulk, and I hate they make fun of the audience. That's a line that I draw there, and that's 55 out of 100. So I gave this a 57, just slightly above it.
To clap back at them and let them know what's up, huh?
Yeah. I think they're gonna get this message, and all of my hand cut letters that I've made.
Yes, of course.
And magazines.
I don't know how many times we've given 60s out because you're right. Like it feels like honestly, it feels like never as we're kind of addressing the matter again. 70s pop up like that happens. Those are movies that's like, I liked it, but it's not good, or something like that. It's not, or there's flawed, what have you. Especially the low 70 range. But once we get below that, for me, it's just like, 60, it's got to have like something that like one thing that I really had fun with. After that, I just don't know. And this is like, this is so bad. I was like, I mean, I can't give it a 10, but like it crossed my mind. It's like, I can't give it as a 50. That's too high. So your 57, I get like there's two like caveats that you have in there that give this a 57. The 56 out of Rotten Tomatoes doesn't make any sense to me. Yours makes sense. Does it make sense to you at all?
No, it did kind of shock me how high it was, especially after I saw it. But yeah, it's that was definitely shocking to me. Also had, I think, 4 other people in the theater with me on a Thursday night. School vacation week, albeit. So the buzz wasn't there.
No, not at all. I had 2 people in my theater, same day as you.
Yeah, and it was nice, dude. Nice big theater, nice comfy seats, like sitting right in the middle. By the end, I was kind of checking out of this movie. I'll put my hand up here. I was trying to make dinner reservations, so I kind of missed the ending. So, like all of a sudden, I see Madam Web like in a wheelchair with Stevie Wonder glasses on. I'm like, wait, how did we get here? So you might need to fill me in on a couple things as we get to this.
How do you miss that?
Because the movie drags on so much. It's like an hour and 54 minutes, but it feels like 2.5 hours.
I went to, so it does. You're right about that. So I actually went to Chunky's in Nashua, and it's cheaper ticket, so I feel great about that. And I'm able to get food delivered right to me, so that was great too. Not that it's like this world beater's great food, but it was like that absolutely helped with my experience. I
was Mrs. Fryer with you for this?
I couldn't get her to the movie. She refused to go.
She didn't want to go. I would have been interested in hearing her opinion of this here.
No, she knows how bad it's going to be, and
That speaks enough.
Yep, 100%. I can't. She wants to see these like comic book movies and stuff like that. Like she's in on that. Not this.
Not this one. Okay.
Nope.
That's interesting because ideally, that's kind of the target audience here, right?
I guess so. Yeah, when you're having like a primarily female-led cast, it's pretty much just Ezekiel, Tahar Rahim, and Adam Scott are like the two exceptions. That's
hey, don't forget Mike Epps.
Yep.
Don't forget my man Mike Epps. You can't, don't besmirch his name like that. Let's hop into the exit survey questions here. Nick, was this so bad that it was actually kind of good?
I went in hoping that was the case. I truly did. We heard we all had our perspective of it. Everybody's ripping to shreds. And I'm like, well, maybe it'll be just so bad the way people were talking about the script and the dialogue. And it's like, oh, maybe it's kind of funny and whatever because it's so stupid. Nope.
See, I disagree. So at first, I thought so, but the movie does really drag on for the next hour 34. Like I said, maybe the first 20 minutes, it's like, all right, this is kind of fun. And then there's different spurts where I was like, all right, this is just so bad that I really enjoy it here. Particularly any of the dialogue scenes involving Dakota Johnson or Ezekiel Sims for that matter. But both very painful, very funny to watch. Again, the whole movie felt very long, closer to 3 hours than 2 hours there. But in theory, I would say yes.
Well, I guess good for you. I don't know.
Well, it's a glass half full approach.
Sure. Yeah. Definitely. That's one way to go about it, I guess.
How about rank your live action Sony Spider-Verse movies for me?
Okay. So we were trying to hash this out a little bit before because we know Venom and Morbius and Madam Web are in the Spider-Verse. Or this Sony Spider-Verse, whatever the hell you want to call it. We're not putting the Spider-Verse movies actually in here because there's been no crossover, no reason to believe that's the case. Correct?
Right. Yes.
So, but we're putting Garfield in there because it seems like that may be the case. But even
I just wanted to beef out the list a little bit more. I think an argument could be made that they shouldn't be in there, and if the Amazing Spider-Man movies are in, then maybe the Raimi Spider-Man movie should be in as well.
Okay, we'll just throw the Garfield ones in there because those are the worst Spider-Man movies. In fairness, I'll go the Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, okay, you got Spider-Man. You love Spider-Man 3, so I don't know.
I do love Spider-Man 3, but Amazing Spider-Man 1 is, I think, objectively better than Spider-Man 3.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I guess it's fine.
Yeah, you group them together. Sure, I'm with you on that.
But that is a fair, 100% a fair take. So the Amazing Spider-Man 1, Venom 2, the Amazing Spider-Man 2, A Mile of Crap, Morbius, Eight-Legged Freaks,
now,
and
Phil,
then Madam
what's
Web.
the connection with this again here?
It's just a Spider movie.
It's just okay. I thought it was like a graphic novel or something like that. There, okay.
No, I think it's like a David Arquette movie or some shit.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm familiar with the movie. I wasn't familiar with the connection there, but now I'm with you. If you want to throw Arachnophobia in there too,
yes,
that probably also fits.
Any Spider movie,
Madam Web.
Yeah, any Spider movie that's not Madam Web.
How about Ants? What do you think about Ants?
Ooh, I like Ants.
It's just 2 less legs.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely less scary too.
How about Charlotte's Web?
Maybe. That's fair. I put it ahead.
Book.
Yeah, I put it ahead of Madam Web. I put it on this list. Sure, it's in the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
Why not?
Here. Yeah, we're not too far off. I got the Amazing Spider-Mans 1 and 2, Venom 1 coming at 3, Venom 2. A little bit of separation there. I might go the Amazing Spider-Man in tier 1, then Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Venom 1, both in that tier 2, Venom 2, tier 3, Morbius, tier 5, and then tier maybe 8, 9, 10 is Madam Web.
It's so bad. It's insane.
That's probably how I would rank it there. But while we're on the topic of Spider-Verse movies, does this make you more or less excited for Kraven the Hunter? You brought him up in the intro question a little earlier.
I mean, maybe it hurt my faith in it a little bit, but that's just. I mean, I don't trust Sony, anyways. No, who does at this point? They've done
How
Spider-Verse.
can you? I hear you.
Spider-Verse has been amazing, but the rest of it, it's just they have no clue what's going on. The only reason like I have an inkling of hope is that Craven just giving him his own movie makes more sense than Madam Web and Morbius. And then you have Aaron Taylor Johnson attached to it, and he's passionate about superhero characters. He seems to be, at least. So that's what I got. But I still don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be good. I don't think it's going to be at least a 70.
No, I'm holding on to the R rating. That's the only thing that gives me a glimmer of hope there.
Fair.
For that reason, because it's probably going to be a crap movie, like you said, just because of the track record of Sony. And I did hear a rumor. I don't know if this was just like a joke that I just didn't pick up on or what, but I thought this was Craven hunting people who are hunters, who are poachers. Like almost as like a protector of the animals, like a violent PETA protester.
Okay.
Which would change my opinion on things.
You would like it less?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Huh. It's definitely a bastardization of the character, but I'm not opposed to seeing it either. So
yeah, but again, I don't know if that was just like some fancy joke that I saw on Twitter that went over my head or not.
This is one of those. That's an idea.
This bussing film.
If if that was like if that's like actually the case, if that was, that's an idea that okay, like I'd be open to like seeing something or that concept separate from Craven, but that's not what Craven is. Like, and again, when it's the MCU, they've changed shit over the years, 100%. And it's good that they have been positive changes, but they still respect the past. And there are things that like were outdated and made sense.
Yeah, some of the stuff they're able to get away with. I think the big change that really bugged me was Taskmaster.
Yeah,
little bit of a switch there, but yeah, no, I agree. When they do like a marriage of characters or traits or things like that, usually that works out for the better. Although they've kind of pissed some of it away, they've built up that goodwill over the course of 20 years to be able to do that.
Taskmaster is like the only one that you could that jumps to my mind.
Yeah, that's the first one. Yeah, or I guess you could say like Secret Invasion, calling it that.
That's a fair point.
Be something else, But
that is a fair point. But like again,
it is Sony today. We're not shitting on the MCU,
No, but just the point is that that just it doesn't make like this doesn't make sense. Is what I'm trying to illustrate.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. How about this before we get into some of the nitty gritty? If you were an actor involved in this movie, how would you feel about the onslaught of negative backlash, attention that this movie's getting?
I'd imagine that it would bother me. I mean, if you care about like your career and stuff, not without knowing the ins and outs of the industry, I would assume that there are some people who are not going to want to deal with you because of the stink that's on you. And it's like Sydney Sweeney is going to be fine. Dakota Johnson's going to be fine. Like, and obviously Epps and Scott and like those people will be fine. But some of these other characters who like I've feel like I've seen Celeste O'Connor before. I know Isabella Merced is like a Nickelodeon kid. So like some of the, like they have careers, but if you're like trying to take that next step, I would imagine this negative backlash with other potential jobs is, at least in the short term, not going to help you out at all. So I care to that extent. And I also care, like, my agent set me up for this shit. Like, I'm not saying you got to be an MCU or a Marvel expert or whatever, but damn, dude, why'd you get me in on this?
Well, yeah, I imagine it was a decent payday. I imagine these superhero movies come with a nice check at the end of the line. It would probably bother me because, everyone just wants to be liked at the end of the day. But I would really like to think that I would try to let it not bother me. And the fact that, like, you ever hear like actors who don't take themselves too seriously, they don't get caught up in it. They're like, listen, we're just acting, we're playing pretend. It's an honor to be able to do this, and I can still live my life in it. But if you're into it to be like the best in like a competitive nature, which is completely, normal thing to think, that would, eat under my skin. But if you're just kind of like, hey, I'm so lucky to be in this position, then, you take the good with the bad,
Yeah, I mean, it's not every movie you're going to be in in a blockbuster. That's a fair point. You can't, I mean, I would like to think you don't let it bother you to like the sense of like, oh, I like, what am I doing? Like, I need to rethink my career. But
But
I don't know.
you get into like a doom scroll on your phone. You're searching your name, or you're searching the movie title, and you're seeking out reviews and stuff. And that's all like, again, very natural stuff that happens in today's society, right? Whether
Yeah.
you're a celebrity or not, right? Everyone wants to know what everyone's saying about them on the internet. So like I feel like it's tough to kind of pull yourself out of that mindset if you're just like, all right, well, like, listen, I could be on a construction site somewhere, not that there's anything wrong with that, but in the scheme of things, I'm getting paid hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars to like play pretend and be up on a big screen. Like, again, glass half full type of approach. That's a pretty sweet life.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like a first world problem, of course. But I like in the vein of what you were talking about before, if you're trying to be the best, if you're just trying to thrive in your career and do the things you want to do, that would be where it bothers me. And I would also want to ask my agent, like have a serious question. What the fuck?
Or like, what were those conversations like? Like, because if you listen to some of the, and I've only seen like compilations of this, but if you listen to some of the actors in this talking about the movie, it almost seems like they thought it was going to be in the MCU. I'm thinking of like Dakota Johnson and Sydney Sweeney.
Yes.
Sydney was like, I love the secrecy behind everything because I'm not supposed to tell anything, even though I want to. And it was almost like, she was trying to have like her like Tom Holland or like Iman Vellani type moment. And it just like, no one told her that this is like not really connected.
Yeah. And look, like Sydney Sweeney is going to walk away from this and nothing's going to happen to her, like opportunities or anything like that. In Dakota Johnson, I said this already, but for some of these other people who like, I mean, Tahara Rahim, again, like, I don't know. Well, we haven't even talked about him really too much, but I don't know how he got put in this position. And I just got to imagine this is really going to hurt any more like America, like, because he's a French actor. I don't know if he's like French born, like actually from France or just of French descent. But like, when I saw that, I was like, okay, so like there's like that makes a little bit of sense of what happened, but this is going to hit his like image. And
it could. He's a good looking guy though. Good looking guys tend to fall on their feet.
I guess so. But it's weird. It was like, but it's so people are going to forget about this with Sydney Sweeney. They'll just laugh. It's like, yeah, Sydney Sweeney was in this terrible movie and it was a terrible script. Like, they won't talk about how she also did stink in this movie.
They're bigger than this movie.
She was not good in this though. Like
no, nothing. There was nothing great. I didn't really think any of the high school girls there like brought anything too big or too bad to the table.
I thought one was stood out. But I'll save that for our pros and cons stuff later.
Yeah, let's dive into it. What was you really got to rack your brain here. What was the most rewatchable scene, Nick?
Nothing. I mean,
I'll go. How about the train scene? I thought the train scene when Ezekiel Sims first tracks down all the girls and they all kind of converge for the first time was kind of interesting. It wasn't necessarily greatly executed, but it had a little action in it. It had a little bit of suspense where you're like trying to figure out what's going on with Cassandra's premonitions, and it's like everything keeps playing over again. Like, that maybe was like the most enjoyable scene for me.
That's a fair point. The train scene, like all the flashbacks of it were interesting. That's it. That is it. And the other thing, so I did have one thing, but again, it's all just so bad. I mean, like, because you're saying the train scene, I'm like, well, wait a second. What about all the stuff where Ezekiel's in the spider suit? Because that's a whole nother terrible thing. In the action, every bit of the action is awful. It's just the one that's
poorly executed. Yeah.
Then the costume too itself was like, it looked like it was like more outdated than Tobey Maguire's version of it. And
not much effort into it. It's like it's like what is it? Is it in Far From Home or Homecoming or No Way Home where Peter turns his suit inside out and he's kind of using like the black Spider-Man suit? Kind of like that, but it's just like even that was better for an inside out suit.
Yes, there you go. The only other scene like that was good, and it was like legitimately maybe a minute, was the bit where like we find out Cassandra's like mother why she was going to Peru.
When she's talking to the doctor, like
Yeah.
that flashback. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like a little. It was a little emotional. Like, oh wow, okay, like this is actually not bad. But you didn't really lay a lot of foundation to get here. Like, yeah, she kind of hates her mom, but you start learning that a little bit later. But I don't know. Everything was so. Those two things. I can agree with you on the train sequence.
Yeah, the I think what took me out of the scene that you're talking about was Dakota Johnson's delivery of her lines when she's like trying to talk to your mother. She's like, "Oh, that's why you did it." But again, she lacks so much emotion. Like we talked about this before we recorded. She kind of reminds me of this Bobby Altoff. Altoff is that her name? But she
I don't
does
know
like the wacky interview. She's the blonde girl who like is always unimpressed by celebrities.
Yeah,
she's got this kind of like monotone voice. She's kind of condescending through it all. Very unemotional. So like one way or the other, you know, it's like she's just kind of like Xanaxed out and just can't feel emotions. So that was like, so anything that felt like it needed emotion behind it was laughable to me because she just couldn't bring it at all. So like in that scene, like you said, probably the most emotional beat of the movie falls flat for me because she kind of ruins it with her. Oh, so that's why you did it. I love you too, Mom. And it's like someone's holding up cue cards on the other side, and she's just like reading the lines. It's like almost like you can see her eyes moving as she's reading it. It just felt like lacking for me.
Yeah. That was the only one where I felt like a semblance of emotion from her, and it felt like maybe I got caught up in the whole like concept of it. But that was like the lone bright spot when I was jotting things down. But yeah, the train scene is in the end probably the best. But that's just it's probably the obvious one, but it's still like scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, there's not much to work with there. Short category, maybe. This maybe. Kind of short category here. What's going to age the best?
Nothing. The only two good things in this movie, like again, that the twist with her mom, like that, like again, like I thought that was like an interesting idea, but I just felt like it was not. You know, like as you go along, you kind of start to realize that she hates her mom, and I understand you can't just be like things got to be progressive and whatnot. It's not just you need this right away, and I need like everything to be awesome off the rip. But it just the buildup wasn't there in the right manner, or the foundation wasn't set. However you want to put it. The other thing was Isabel Merced as what was her character's name?
Celeste.
Anya.
Oh yeah. Anya Corazon. Yeah.
She was like the only person who I watched this and was like, "You are actually doing a good job."
Yeah, she was fine. Again, I didn't think that like either of the girls were too high or too low for me, and she probably played it the best of the three. But again, like you know, everyone's attention's on Sydney Sweeney, and Celeste O'Connor is kind of like the outspoken, over the top character, right? So like you don't really get a lot of attention on her, and she just kind of plays that fine for me. You know, not bad, not good for me.
She was also the one that was probably honestly, of all the things that were written, like how they were written, that was the only character who was probably written well. Like Celeste O'Connor, even her, as you and I were talking about before, like I thought she did an okay job. I didn't think she was bad, but like that's a tough role, like trying to be like that, like outspoken, like teenager, like it can be overplayed, and it's also like you can overact very easily, and I think there may have been a little bit of that there. But the real problem is like what is it? Isabel Merced calls Celeste O'Connor's character out for being rich, and I was like, I forgot about the whole prep school thing because that was there, but that's the only thing that at least led me to think that she was like rich, but I had no clue. Zero.
Yeah, I guess, and that's a good point. I think you know they set up Isabella's story a little bit more, right? Because she lives in the apartment, or Anya's backstory a little bit more. She lives in the apartment with Cassandra Webb, so you see that like her and her family are having financial troubles because the landlord's knocking on the door. So you know where she's kind of at right there. But you don't, other than that quick scene of her flipping off Cassandra when she's going by on her skateboard, Celeste, we don't really know anything about her. Same to be said for Julia, Sydney Sweeney's character.
Yeah, the Julia one. See, this is where like I have like I don't have sympathy. Sydney Sweetie's character did have a little bit of the fleshing out because she had that bit with like her parents, her stepmom, and then like trying to like they don't want her there.
But
There
that's later
was
on, though. You know.
no. You see, when Dakota Johnson brings her stepmother to the hospital, and it's like oh, like we don't want you to be there, like
Oh,
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Sure, no, her like so power rankings. It's definitely Anya by Isabel Merced was definitely the best by far. Then Celeste O'Connor and Sydney Sweeney's like it was not written the worst necessarily, but it wasn't written well. But her performance was like it was a watered down version of what she does in Euphoria.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Weird.
For Constance there on the mother, I think getting the reveal and the twist it is fine, only for the fact that I was ready to rip her for going to the Amazon 9 months pregnant. Like, what are you doing, lady?
Yeah.
And then you find out, all right, she's in dire straits here. My other question, though, when they're all kind of sharing their traumatic experiences of like family trauma, if you will, where's Cassandra's dad throughout all this?
Yeah, not addressed that in the slightest. I mean, sounds like either he's no longer with us or whatever, but I don't know. Yeah.
It's just they're just focusing on the mom relationship there. And that, as a father, that offends me. I want to be represented in media as well. Yeah,
gotcha.
So I can say that now.
I'm shedding a tear for you.
What age? I don't appreciate that sarcasm very much. How about the idea of an evil Spider-Man? I don't think the execution was good at all, but I kind of like the idea of an evil Spider-Man, a la a Red Sun Superman or a Brightburn type movie or The Boys or something like that. I think having an evil Superman or Spider-Man on the streets, that's an interesting idea to play with.
You mean like a Carnage or a Venom?
Like a Venom or something? I guess so, but like that's the same.
I know what you mean, that there's a difference. Like if you were having like a boys type universe and you made an evil Spider-Man. Sure. Yeah, I could be open to that. I mean, I don't.
It wasn't executed well at all, but the idea I can get behind.
Yeah, somewhere else it might be well done.
I mentioned this Dakota Johnson's monotone, condescending, and unemotional approach to acting. I think that's aged the best and the worst. That's going to come up both there because it was so bad that it was funny at times, and sometimes it worked. Particularly in the baby shower scene, I thought that was kind of funny.
That actually wasn't. That was probably some of the best stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and weird. she's like, yeah, my mother died during childbirth, but that doesn't really happen. And she's like, it kind of does, But big winner from this, I think, is the Patriot Act. This is a post 9/11 world where the U.S. government now has expanded their surveillance capabilities, and that's essentially what Ezekiel Sims is utilizing after he kills the NSA agent to hunt down the 3 women.
So how is that the winner here?
That technology, you can do almost anything there. It's prominently featured.
Oh, I mean, if anything, knowing if that's what that supposedly is, that makes.
I have to imagine, and
I like it less. That's it. I'll put that in the way to worst category. I don't need everybody's eyeballs on me like that. Are they watching us right now as we're recording this?
Whether you need it or not, it's happening. I'll tell you.
Oh boy,
data, man, it's very important. This was probably like the start of like mining data and how valuable that became. Because think about like all of these like social media companies, they say like Mark Zuckerberg knows when you poop, because they're able to build these whole like individual point profiles of everyone, so like when you're gonna buy new toilet paper, not that everything has to do with bathroom stuff or whatever, when you need new socks, like they kind of know all these things before you even realize it.
Stinky.
Yeah, there we go. The Patriot Act, big winner here. Also, kind of funny seeing Cassandra thinking and trying to climb the walls at her home. That was kind of funny.
I agree. That was actually a good moment. Like that. There you go. That's the you have Anya. That scene that you just mentioned, the climbing the walls, and then the baby shower. That's This is how you get my 30 score. That's it.
How about knowing how to do CPR? Huh? Always a skill, comes in handy.
Have you ever taken a class to learn how to do it?
Yeah, I took a class in college. I took one.
So that was accurate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually, Jules just had a CPR class at her studio this week. And so she was kind of filling me on everything. Yeah, you don't do the breathing in the mouth. You want to keep the rhythm the same, actually, to staying alive, to the beat of staying alive. Like just like in The Office, staying alive. So that's how you want to push. And essentially what the CPR guy said is like, don't worry about cracking ribs. Like you have to get through the rib cage to get the heart pumping. So if someone's suffering cardiac arrest, like you're likely going to be sued for trying to save their life.
There you go.
So unintended consequences. But yeah, that comes into play. Although what I did think was ridiculous is when that fireworks scene was coming up or happening and keep playing over. She's doing CPR for like 10 minutes, just pumping away on that guy's chest while she's like getting all these visions of O'Neill dying and like people running into the building and everything, and, like bloody hands. She's just pumping away on this guy, and like everyone else is scrambling, and she's like telling Adam Scott to be like, check his lower extremities for internal bleeding. And he's like, oh, right. It's kind of like she knows all in that moment. It was funny to me.
There were some, that just reminded me. Like, I feel like there were a few lines, and I didn't jot them down because I don't bring a notebook to the theater. But there's some really clunky lines.
I almost thought about taking notes because there was such a lack of people around me here. I almost thought about just typing away, but I didn't do it. I was looking at dinner reservations instead. What do you think will age the worst from this movie?
Other than the entire movie, I would say the villain's motivation, which is honestly the crux of the whole. Like, I can't say I take 50 points off for that, but it's terrible. Like,
he came from less than nothing.
This guy's paranoid, and I get it. He's having these visions, but he's just strictly paranoid about the three high school girls who, I guess they're older or whatever, when they supposedly kill him. But he is paranoid about that, and that is the driving force behind this whole movie. We don't know anything else about the guy other than he killed Cassandra's mom. He has these powers now, and he seems to have a decent chunk of change. That's it. We don't know if he's like this. Like he could have just been a dude who's like, I never really did anything wrong other than, kill those people to take the spider stuff, which, hey, that's not great. But at the same time,
he's not killing people. He's killing a pregnant woman and her baby, seemingly.
I know, but why would those three girls know about any of that? Like that's my thing. Like what's their reason for wanting to kill him? Like there's no insight as to that motivation.
Well, it's like almost like a Nexus event that hasn't happened yet. So because of his paranoia, he creates the situation that ends up demising and ending up being his own demise. And it's so like when they all converge at Grand Central Station, and like his girl in the chair is like, what are the odds that they're all here by themselves? He's like, almost like fate had meant it. So it's like he was creating his own destiny.
It's such a thin premise. And
it's not. I think that's an interesting idea. Again, it wasn't executed very well at all.
It could be. It could work. I'm sure it's worked before. They don't flesh it out well enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, side note, I hate the sound of Microsoft keyboards typing. I hate the sound of that. I have such a weird thing. But the other thing that's going to age terribly from this, I would think, is Tahar Rahim's acting career. I really like again, if he's not like, if English is not his first language and he just doesn't have full command, maybe that's what it is. Maybe he can change that. But I just would imagine he's not going to get a leading role again in an English speaking movie because it just felt so off. And there were other things that were done poorly, like where things are dubbed over and it was so obvious. And I know it's been obvious to people. People have been talking about it. I went in looking for this because I'm thinking, how bad is this going to be? There was actually only one moment where it clearly jumped out to me, and it was oddly a moment where I really couldn't see his mouth. It's after he killed the NSA agent or whatever she's from, and he went up and whispered in her ear. I could auditorially, it was like that was dubbed over afterwards.
That scene really jumped out at me because he's trying to be like suave and sexy, but also commanding and kind of scary at the same time. and it just doesn't come across it comes across very funny to me and like awkward, like something like an awkward person would do. Maybe something like I would do.
Maybe.
And not of something of this like debonair type guy, because he does have that look. He kind of has like the Bond villain look. Maybe that's it, but like he looks good in a bow tie. High, like very rich guy, very pretty good looking guy, European. You can kind of do a couple of things there, but if you can't talk,
Yeah, I mean, the only thing he has for him is his look, and even then, he is stiff as a board the whole time. You want to talk about like,
yeah,
I get there's some like emotions, but anytime that he has an emotion, it's like the most forced thing I've ever seen. When he like falls off the cliff or whatever, or the buildings, it's just so bizarrely uncomfortable. I just don't know how. He's the only person that I looked at that got into this movie. And is like you like outswung your weight class or whatever. Like you're punching above your weight class. Like he's the only one who shouldn't be mad at his agent. That's it.
Yeah. No, he did good here. This is a win for him. Probably got a nice payday. Maybe he'll go back to like, I don't know, French soap operas or something like that. That could work, or even just like American soap operas. I'm sure that could work out well.
Maybe, yeah, but it's just I feel bad, like because again, like if it's the language barrier thing, that's only so much his fault. It's like whoever the people actually, it's going to age worse terrible too. Yeah. The people who are behind the scenes that made some of these decisions. I would think this is not going to bode well for them either, because there are some, like from a writing standpoint, from a production standpoint, from a costume standpoint, everything about it is just, how did you allow this to happen? Why did this happen?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I mentioned, one of the things that aged the best and worst is Dakota Johnson's monotone, condescending, and unemotional approach to acting. Again, her and I want to say Ben Wyatt, but Ben Parker, Adam Scott, their interactions, again, always kind of stonewalled. Although I think she looked very, very good in this. And I'm usually not the biggest Dakota Johnson fan, but I thought she looked very, very attractive here. And on that note, I think wasting a smoking hot cast for a superhero movie and spending like zero time showing them in their suits, only getting flashback scenes and like dark situations that look heavily CGI'd. Let's get some spider suits in. Let's get some spider spandex going on,
Their suits look terrible too.
Yeah, it didn't work out very well. How about Ezekiel, despite having superpowers, being unable to stop 3 unsuspecting high school girls and a paramedic having a psychotic episode?
It's a funny way to put it. Yeah.
You're a supervillain, dude. Come on.
He supposedly has the same foresight power, and he can't figure out that like how do you not I get this is getting a little heady, but at the same time, you have 2 characters who have the gift of foresight. How does he not have the foresight to realize that like Cassandra's going to continue to get in his way because of her foresight? I get you're going to run into like this weird like position where just nobody can do anything, but it's still bizarre. How is he not better at this than she is? He's had it longer.
I agree, and his complete dismissal of Cassandra early on, being like, I don't care about her. Get me the 3 girls. It's like, all right, come on, dude. That's probably what it was. It's the ego taking over, the physicality taking over, and not being able to tap into the spiritual or mental side of things.
Yeah,
which women are naturally more inclined to do.
Yes, but it's so like. It's such that again, that's like terrible writing for him to do that. It's like to just like brush her off like nothing after everything she's done. I mean, I'm sorry. At some point, she cares about these kids too. So if you kill them, she's probably going to come for you, and she has the gift of foresight already. So what are you doing? Or how about this? If I get that he doesn't. I can understand he doesn't have full grasp of the foresight stuff, but he sees into the future. I just don't know how he couldn't see possibly that maybe Cassandra is going to get these powers and she's going to become a pain in the ass for him.
Right. Yeah. He's blinded by his own ambitions. Right.
And I know we suspend, our disbelief plenty of times. I mean, Lord knows there are plenty of times that I do that, but this is just it's so bad that everything is has to get holes poked into it.
Yes. When you can't get the basic story structure, suddenly you go out and start nicking pits everywhere, The camera work was kind of weird, and like jostled and swing around. It kind of had the Sam Raimi effect where they would like swing around and like shaky. It kind of threw me off a little bit. Wasn't crazy about that. And then, we talked about this enough, the dialogue, the acting overall. But Nick, who had the best performance by a side character?
It's unquestionably Anya, Isabel, played by Isabella Merced. She's like the one character. I know we have like a few others like bit characters in here, but she still only has so many lines. Like the three girls are. Yeah, I just go with Anya here.
Yeah, I would say she's the best of the three girls there, but I'm going to go with either Mary Parker or Ben Parker. I thought Emma Roberts, again,
Fair.
smoking hot cash. She looks great. Even as a 6-month pregnant woman, looks great. Ben Parker, again, pretty much just playing Adam Scott. He's just being like the lovable, kind of dorky, nerdy guy, but means well. And kudos to him. He saves Cassandra Webb. I would have loved to seen that scene, like when she falls into the ocean and the car is locked or closed. But how you open the door against all that pressure of water is like beyond me. You break the window, I guess, but even then it's difficult. How long can you hold your breath underwater for? That's hero type stuff.
Yeah, that's a pretty big jump off that bridge, by the way. So I don't know how it's just totally fine and just whatever. But yeah, I said it, like their performances, like they didn't do anything wrong.
And then R.I.P. my guy Mike Epps there. He goes from ruining burgers to dying in like a matter like that.
Yeah.
This movie was also filmed in Boston, but it takes place in Astoria, Queens, where I used to live.
That's a good point. That's brutal too.
Yeah. I didn't pick up any Boston like centric stuff. Like sometimes I can kind of tell when it's a Boston set, but
when you're watching, I guess you just have to look for it.
That's true. I'll keep my eyes peeled for the next time there when it comes out on VOD here. Who lost the movie, Nick? And do you want to get your laundry list out for this?
We did. We lost the movie. Yeah. You and I did, and then everybody who paid money to see this thing. I at least paid $7 for it. That's it. But
that's a good deal.
Yeah,
that's twice. I paid $14.
That's why Chunky's is great, but it's
a Chucky.
But otherwise, it's. I mean, no question. It's Tahir Rahim. Like this is a lot of people did poorly here, but like no one was more blatantly, obviously, out of their depth or just not doing their job right than Tahir Rahim.
How about the actors who thought this may have been an MCU movie and not an in association with Marvel movie?
Yeah, that's a tough.
We talked about this already, but that's tough. That's a tough look.
Yeah, I mean, at least if you're in it, then oh, okay, maybe it's gonna get like I'll get brought in later and it'll be a better movie or. I don't know. It's just
bad. Okay, yeah. There's some good things in there. Who won the movie? Who won
the people who didn't see this movie. Because you're saving money and not wasting it. Like this is just you flat out waste of your money. We're seeing this so you guys don't have to.
Yes, exactly.
Other than that, I mean, I feel pretty firmly in this. Like Isabel Merced actually put in like a good performance. Like I think she'll walk out of this as the lone bright spot in this movie.
Yeah, I could be wrong. I think Sydney Sweeney is kind of Teflon right now.
Yeah.
So
that's why I'm saying that she's terrible, but no one's gonna care. No one will remember.
Yeah. Who won the movie? I'm not upset about that. I can live with that there. And then I guess on the other side of the actors who thought they may have been an MCU movie, who won the movie would be the casting director for whatever lies they spun and getting like in what is a pretty solid cast.
Yeah.
You get Sydney Sweeney, you get Dakota Johnson, Emma Roberts, Adam Scott. That's like a pretty decent cast that you got there.
Yeah, this is a surprisingly strong cast, and just nope.
The Patriot Act. Patriot Act wins out again. I mean, this is that's something that's like literally aged the best because it's only expanded.
I just
maybe not in our best interest, but it has aged the best.
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay, got it. I understand now.
Yeah, it's gotten the best. Yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant I thought you were like from the perspective of us, and I was like,
no, of course not. I mean, what are we gonna do? But
Yeah. Yep. Okay, I understand.
How about 2000s music? Early 2000s music. You got Toxic in there. Nice little table dance at a roadside diner.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, because Sony. That's what we all used to do back in the day. You were in
Mm-hmm.
college at this time. I was in high school at this time. Like I remember everybody always getting up on diner tables and just dancing, getting
Would you
after it.
wear your jerseys after a game to a diner like that? With a, if it was like no coach or anything, I would imagine you would shower and change your clothes.
I mean, if you're stopping after the game and you're still on the bus, then you I would for baseball or soccer, yeah, because you didn't bring a change of clothes.
I saw no
Basketball,
coach there.
you're right. So if you're just like
This
after
felt
a
like
game,
after practice almost.
strange.
Yeah.
The attention to detail was clearly not there in this movie.
No, it was missing something there.
Just a little.
Okay, so that's it. So Nick, we're gonna have to do some real math here.
I got
Nick
you.
gave this a 30. I gave this a 57. So
That's an
what?
aggregate
40?
score of 87, like total.
Yeah,
But then our actual score is 43.5.
43 and a half. 43 and a half on Madam Web. That might be one of the lowest rated movies that we've seen in theaters.
If it's not the lowest, then I'm curious to what is.
Yeah, I feel like there might be something in there. Yeah, I feel like there might be maybe an animated show that we watched or a movie that we watched.
Well, you gave Scorpion a 44.
Yeah.
But I gave that like an 80 something. So that
Okay,
wasn't.
that balanced it out there. But so
Yeah.
collectively, this is pretty, I guess, safe to say.
The fact that you rated Scorpion's Revenge lower than this is actually a little bit.
I'm just trying to recoup some of my sunk costs.
There you go.
All right, so that is Madam Web exit survey. Go see it or don't.
Don't.
Probably don't.
Don't. Do
But
not do it.
nevertheless, that's that. Now it's time to get your train tickets because the Discharge Depot is open for business.
Choo-choo, bitches.
And of course, we're recording this as a crow flies a little bit early this week, but you're still getting it at the same time. So, Nick, what are you doing this weekend?
Well, the reason is that we're just recording it in advance and not also streaming is because I am visiting Stowe for the weekend with my brother and sister-in-law, and of course my lovely wife. So going up to ski for a little bit. Hopefully, by the time you guys listen to this, I am still alive.
Are you a skier?
Nope, haven't done it since I was a little kid. We're gonna stay on the bunny slopes.
Okay, is anyone in your group good at skiing, or is this kind of like same levels? Or
I am the least experienced of everybody. Lauren did a decent amount. My sister-in-law can do black diamonds, and
oh wow,
I don't know about double but I know she can do black diamonds. And then my brother has done black diamond. I don't know if that's what he always does, but he's gotten after it too now.
Okay, all right, good for them. We went to, not Waterville Valley, Loon Mountain a couple of Valentine's days ago, and Jules is, not like she's gone skiing, not a black diamond skier or green or whatever it is. Like she can do like the intermediary ones, and I've never gone skiing since I was like little kid. So it was very tough for me to like let go and just like know that I'm going fast and I'm like not really in control of the skis, and that was very tough for me. So I was pizza French frying all the way, and it was very, very uncomfortable for me, especially like when you learn like something like that, like a new skill or something at an older age. Like you already feel kind of like an asshole.
It's gonna be an interesting experience. I wanted to do snowboarding, but I have been told by a few people like, no, it's just you're more likely to get hurt. You're like good snowboarders fall down all the time. So it's my first time going out, so I'm just whatever. I want to try and walk out not too injured.
I wish you the best. I hope you have some fun. I know you have some fun, but I wish you the best.
I appreciate that. Thank you. On another quick note, speaking of Mortal Kombat, I forgot to mention this, but there are more Mortal Kombat movies on HBO Max.
Max. Yes,
and I have since watched a couple of those. There's one more. Scorpion's Revenge is still so if you're in the West camp or if you're in my camp, Scorpion's Revenge is the best one of the bunch. The second one that came out has a ton more action in it. I'm blanking on the names right now, but that one was, I felt a little like from a story standpoint, it gets like the ending kind of is like the big, how we talk about the big CGI battles. It's animated, so it's not like visually that unappealing, but it just felt like an odd leap to end the movie on. It felt like kind of adding too much at the end.
Okay.
Otherwise, I had a fun time. The third one was fun, but felt disjointed, and it felt like it was a slightly different art team, which it was a disappointment. And I've just started the third one, and it seems like it's like a Johnny Cage one. The fourth one is a Johnny Cage one, and it's definitely a different artistic team, and it seems like it's predating. I'm not sure, but it seems like it's predating his Mortal Kombat days. So
okay. A little prequel action. All right.
I'm not sure on that one, but it didn't like win me over right away. So if you love Mortal Kombat, you'll have a fun time with those other two at least. And then I don't know about Johnny Cage. I can't tell you yet.
Well, Carl Urban is playing Johnny Cage in the live action Mortal Kombat sequel, right?
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, Carl Urban is a beast. I am very excited to see him take on this role. Obviously he's done great as Billy the Butcher. Butcher.
And The Boys season 4 is coming out like June 13th or something like that, mid-June.
Yep.
So there we go. We got a little connection there. I made that couple of degrees of separation.
Well done.
All right, what am I doing here?
Yes.
We're going to be very bougie this weekend. So first night out with the baby overnight. So we got my dad and my stepmom staying over here. We're going to be watching little Vivian while Jules and I go to the Boston Opera House to go see the Winter Experience. I got her some Christmas tickets there. So we're finally cashing those in. Got a night at the hotel. We got a dinner reservations at a restaurant from Salt Bay. Very excited about that. Drop a little salt on the elbow there. And then, so a little weekend trip up in Boston there.
Sounds like a very nice time. Look at us.
Yeah.
Doing stuff on the weekends.
Yeah.
Traveling.
Right? I love it. Yeah. We can do things besides just stare in front of a screen for 8 hours a day.
Especially when an hour and a half of those 8 hours are spent watching Madam Web or however long this movie was.
That's true. Almost two. And what I will say, actually, real quick note, I was so I saw this movie in Kingston. That's about 25 minutes away from me. There is a Planet Fitness right near there. That's my gym of choice. I'm a Black Card member. No big deal. So I was like, oh, great. I got a couple hours to kill before the movie. I'll go to the gym. And what ended up being like the start time was 6:50 for the movie. I get to the gym at like 6:10, but I don't leave until 7:10. I don't leave the gym to go to the movie theater until 7:10. And I get to the movie theater, get my popcorn or get my Raisinets, get my soda, find my seat, 7:19. The trailers stop playing and it goes right into the movie. 7:20. The actual movie started. I timed it out perfectly.
Nice. Look at you.
So sometimes you get screwed over. And in this case, I wouldn't have been so upset if I missed the first 15 minutes. Always, it's like when you get, you put in like a certain amount of gas, right? And I want to stop it right at $30. I want to get right at $30 there. It's like always a good movie, good time when you time it out right.
You got your groove back. Look at you.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it right now.
Look at us.
Next week, what do we have lined up for next week, Nick?
Oh, I don't remember in the slightest. I can find it.
Is it Dune? I think it's Dune.
Oh, is Dune? Oh, I mean that would make sense. The Dune chatter has begun. I know Mac is extremely high on it.
Very high on it. Yeah.
Yeah, Dune.
I think so.
Dune
too. Tune. So that'll be fun. That'll be a nice palate cleanser to everything here.
Tune. Yeah, we may need to revisit the Avatar conversation because I don't know what's. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. The Avatar.
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes. Yeah, I heard awful things about it.
Yeah, and neither of us care about it enough to necessarily do it. So to watch it. So
we'll scrap that one. We'll come up with something good in the meantime.
Sounds good. We figured it out. Look at us.
Yeah. Till then, though, same bad time, same bad place.